Jace Gu emerged from the conference room, his face dark with fury. The secretary trailed behind cautiously. "Sir, your wife called again. She said it's urgent." Not taking it, he strode toward his office without turning back. This was already the 5th call from El Lin today. Jace Gu loosened his tie irritably, his mind completely occupied with the military district reform plan. How could he possibly have time to deal with a woman's unreasonable tantrums? The office door was pushed open. El Lin stood at the doorway, holding a document in her hand. "Jace Gu, let's get a divorce." I stood at the door of his office, watching the shocked expression on his face, feeling an indescribable satisfaction in my heart. In my previous life, for this man, I gave up my career, abandoned my dreams, and willingly became a military wife, enduring the gossip and pointing fingers in the military compound. What did I get in the end? His indifference when I was seriously ill, his absence when I needed him the most, and the sweetness of his reunion with his first love after my death. What nonsense are you talking about? Jace Gu frowned and stood up. "I just finished a meeting and I'm exhausted. Don't make a scene." Tantrum. I let out a cold laugh and placed the divorce agreement on his desk. "I'm not making a scene. I'm serious. This is the divorce agreement. I've already signed it. All you need to do is sign it too." Jace Gu's face instantly turned ashen. "El Lin, do you realize what you're saying?" "Of course I do," I replied calmly, staring at him. "I want a divorce. In my past life, I gave everything for this man, only to die alone on a hospital bed without even seeing his face. Given a second chance at life, I will never repeat the same mistakes." "You're crazy." Jace Gu strode up to me. "Why on earth do you want a divorce when everything's fine? Did someone say something to you?" I took a step back, avoiding his attempt to grab my hand. "No one said anything. I've thought it through myself." "Jace Gu, our marriage was a mistake from the very beginning." A flicker of panic flashed in his eyes. "What mistake? We've been married for 3 years, and everything's been fine." "Good." I almost burst out laughing. In my past life, I thought the same way, believing it was natural for him to be too busy with work to care for home, that his neglect was due to his introverted personality, and that his indifference to my well-being was just how soldiers were. It wasn't until after my death, when I saw him and his first love, Sky Jiang, embracing and weeping at my funeral, that I realized he wasn't incapable of caring for someone, he just didn't care for me. Jace Gu, search your conscience. How long has it been since you last truly looked at me? I stared into his eyes. Do you know what I love most? Do you know my birthday? Do you even know why I kept running to the hospital recently? His expression froze. I've seen this expression before. It was the same look he had when I confronted him from my hospital bed in my previous life. Blank, at a loss, with a hint of anger from being exposed. I've been busy with work and may have been somewhat neglectful, but that's no reason for divorce. He tried to embrace me. Stop being unreasonable. Let's go home and talk properly. What is there to talk about? I coldly pushed him away. About how busy you are with work, about how many of my calls you don't answer, or about that person in your heart. Jace Gu's expression instantly changed. What nonsense are you spouting? Nonsense. I laughed mockingly. Jace Gu, Sky Jiang is returning to the country. Did you know? His pupils sharply contracted. Just as I suspected, in the previous life, it was the same. He knew about Sky Jiang's return to the country before I did. What does her return have to do with us? He feigned composure. Don't be so paranoid. Really. I took out my phone from my bag and pulled up a text message. Then how do you explain this? The message was received this morning, and the sender was Sky Jiang, brother Jace. I'm returning to China next week and would like to meet you. Is that okay? I had received this exact text message in my previous life, but back then, I chose to believe him. To believe they were just ordinary friends. Looking back now, I realize how foolish I was. Jace Gu's expression darkened completely upon reading the message. Did she send it to you? Who else? I put away my phone. Jace Gu, did you think I knew nothing? Sky Jiang was your first love. You were together at the military academy, and only after she went abroad did you marry me. Now that she's coming back, aren't you thrilled? The office was eerily quiet. Jace Gu's face darkened like storm clouds. Remaining silent for a long while, I waited for his explanation, waited for his denial, but there isn't anyone. Just like in the previous life, he chose to remain silent. It seems I was right. I bent down to pick up the divorce agreement on the table. Since you won't sign it, we'll see each other in court. Lin, he finally spoke, his voice filled with anger. Don't go too far, too far. I turned to look at him, my eyes devoid of any warmth. Jace Gu. The one who's truly gone too far is you. In these 3 years, what have you given me? Aside from the title of a military wife, what else have you given me? When I was sick, you were working overtime. When I was lonely, you were in meetings. Whenever I needed you, you always had something more important to do. Now that I'm taking the initiative to leave, suddenly I'm the one who's gone too far. He was left speechless by my words. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself down. Jace Gu. Let's stop tormenting each other. You have someone else in your heart, and I don't want to continue this meaningless marriage. Divorce is best for both of us. With that, I turned and walked away. His voice came from behind, low and threatening. Lin, if you walk out that door, don't think about coming back. I paused for a moment but didn't turn around. I never planned to come back in the first place. I walked out of the military district building and looked up at the sky. The sun was shining brightly, and there wasn't a cloud in sight. This time, I will live for myself. Just as I stepped out of the military district building, I received a call from my mother-in-law, Li Shufan. Where have you been? Come back quickly. I've made you some chicken soup. Listening to her gentle voice on the phone, my heart was filled with mixed emotions. In my past life, Li Shufan treated me well. At least on the surface, she would care about my health, make soup for me, and comfort me when Jace Gu was busy with work. But after my death, she was the first to approve of Jace Gu and Sky Jiang being together. She's dead and gone. Jace is still young. He shouldn't ruin the rest of his life over a dead person. These were the words she spoke after my funeral, and I heard them clearly. Mom, I have something to take care of. I'll be back later. I tried to keep my voice sounding normal. What's so urgent? Didn't Jace say he'd come back early today to have dinner with you? Come back early to have dinner with me. I let out a bitter laugh. In my past life, Jace Gu did say these exact words on this day, but in the end, he still didn't come back because of work. I waited alone at home until late at night, and Li Shufan comforted me, saying that a soldier's wife must learn to be understanding. Mom, he might be working overtime today. We don't need to wait for him. After hanging up the phone, I immediately took a taxi to the law firm. Since Jace Gu refused to sign, I would resort to legal means. After hearing my situation, the lawyer frowned and said, Ms. Lin, your husband is a military district commander. Divorce for officers at this level requires organizational approval. Moreover, the reasons you've provided may not be sufficient. What do you mean by not sufficient? Reasons like emotional incompatibility or personality clashes typically lead courts to recommend mediation first. Unless there's clear misconduct such as infidelity or domestic violence. I fell silent. In the previous life, Jace Gu did have contact with Sky Jiang, but they were very careful and left no evidence. Then what should I do? I suggest you first negotiate with your husband. If he agrees, the process will be much simpler. If he disagrees, we'll need more evidence to prove the marriage has indeed broken down. Leaving the law firm, I wandered aimlessly down the street. My phone kept ringing. All calls from Jace Gu. I didn't answer. It wasn't until 8 p.m. that I finally returned to the military compound. As soon as I stepped inside, I saw not only Li Shufan but also several officers' wives sitting in the living room. Zhong Yalin was the first to speak. Is back. Come sit down quickly. We were just chatting. I changed my shoes and walked to the living room. I knew all these women. They were the wives of high-ranking military officers, and they usually loved to gossip about trivial matters. I heard you went to see Jace today, Li Shufan asked with a smile. I responded faintly. Jace is so busy with work. You shouldn't disturb him, Zhong Yalin chimed in. As military wives, we must learn to support silently. That's right, another wife agreed. While our men are out there serving the country and people, we must ensure smooth logistics at home. Listening to them, I suddenly found it all quite laughable. In my previous life, I thought the same way. believing that being a military wife meant unconditional support for my husband, enduring his neglect and indifference. Now I finally understand, it was nothing but self-indulgent sentimentality. Why aren't you saying anything? Li Shufan asked with concern. I'm tired and want to rest. I stood up. You all chat, I'm going upstairs first. Hey, I ignored their calls and went straight upstairs to the bedroom. The room was just as before, simple and tidy, without a trace of life. This was my marriage with Jace Gu, seemingly harmonious but in reality, cold as an ice cellar. I took out my suitcase and started packing my things. There weren't many clothes, even fewer pieces of jewelry, mostly just daily necessities. Halfway through packing, the door was pushed open. Jace Gu stood at the doorway, his expression grim. What are you doing? Packing. I didn't look up, continuing to fold clothes. Packing for where? He walked over. Lin, stop messing around. I'm not messing around. I straightened up to look at him. Jace Gu, I've already consulted a lawyer today. If you don't agree to an uncontested divorce, I'll file for divorce in court. His face grew even more grim. Are you insane? Do you know what consequences this will have? What consequences? I'm the military district commander. If you make a scene like this, it will damage my reputation and ruin my future. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh. So, what you care about is your reputation and future, not our marriage. Stop being unreasonable. He tried to grab my hand. We can work through anything, but divorce is absolutely out of the question. I shook off his hand. Why not? Because it would affect your career. It's not just about my career. He took a deep breath. We're husband and wife. We should understand and support each other. Understand each other. I scoffed. Jace Gu, have you ever understood me? He was stumped by my question. Where were you when I was sick? Where were you when I was lonely? Where were you when I needed you? I stepped closer to him. Your so-called understanding is just me unilaterally understanding your busy work, understanding your helplessness, understanding your indifference towards me. He opened his mouth but couldn't say a word. Jace Gu, I don't want to live like this anymore. I turned around and continued packing. Divorce is best for both of us. At that moment, Li Shufan pushed the door open and entered. Jace, what's going on? She saw me packing my luggage and her expression changed drastically. Where are you going? I didn't answer. Jace Gu's face was terrifyingly dark. Mom, please step out first. I need to talk to Elle. There's no need to talk. I zipped up my suitcase. I've already made up my mind. Lin. Jace Gu finally exploded. If you dare step out that door, we're completely over. I stopped and looked back at him. Jace Gu, we've been over for a long time. You just didn't know it yet. With those words, I walked out of the room dragging my suitcase. The sound of Li Shufan's crying and Jace Gu's roar came from behind me, but I didn't turn my head. This time, I will never look back again. I moved into a small apartment in the city, which I had previously rented as a studio. When I got married 3 years ago, I gave it up, but now I've rented it again. The landlady was still the same old lady, who seemed quite surprised to see me. Xiao Lin, didn't you get married? Why are you looking to rent again? There are some matters I need to handle. Without further explanation, I directly paid 3 months' rent. After settling in, I called my lawyer to confirm the divorce filing procedures. Lin, are you sure you want to do this? From what I understand, your husband holds a high position in the military district. If he doesn't cooperate, this case will be very difficult to handle, I'm sure. After hanging up the phone, I began organizing my previous work materials. Before marriage, I was a freelance writer specializing in travel and food articles. After getting married, I almost gave up all my projects to accommodate Jace Gu's work. Now, it's time to start over. I turned on my computer and began sending emails to my former partners. Hi, this is Lin. I wonder if you still remember me. I'd like to get back to work and was wondering if there are any suitable projects available. Someone replied very quickly. Are you finally making a comeback? That's great. I happen to have a project here, a deep travelogue about ancient towns in Yunnan. Are you interested? Reading this message, my eyes grew slightly moist. So someone still remembers me, someone still needs me. in my past life, I thought being a good military wife was my entire worth. But now I realize I have my own life to live. While replying to emails, the doorbell rang. I thought it was a delivery, but when I opened the door, I saw Jong Ya-lin. She was holding a thermal lunchbox. Her face filled with concern. Why did you come here? Jace is going crazy with worry. I didn't let her in. I'm fine. You don't need to worry. What do you mean? Don't need to worry, she frowned. Whatever issues you and your husband have, solve them at home. What's the point of running away? My matters with Jace Gu are none of your concern. Jong Ya-lin was somewhat embarrassed by my indifferent attitude. How can you say that, after all these years of friendship? Of course I care about you. Friends, I almost burst out laughing. Where was this so-called friend when I was sick in my previous life? After my death, she and the other officers' wives persuaded Jace Gu to move on with his life, saying things like the dead should be honored, but the living must carry on. Jong Ya-lin, if you're here to be a mediator, then please leave, I said, preparing to close the door. She hurriedly blocked the door with her hand. Listen to me. Jace was absent-minded during the meeting yesterday, and even the political commissar asked if he was feeling unwell. See how much your conflict is affecting his work. So what? So you should go back and discuss things calmly, she pleaded earnestly. Couples shouldn't hold grudges overnight. If you keep this up, it won't be good for anyone. I looked at her coldly. Jong Ya-lin, do you know there's someone else in Jace Gu's heart? Her face changed. What nonsense are you talking about? Did you know Sky Jiang is returning to China? Jong Ya-lin's expression froze. Clearly, she already knew. That's all in the past. You're Jace's wife now. Yes, I am his wife, but what do I mean to him in his heart? I smiled sarcastically. Jong Ya-lin, if your husband had someone else in his heart, would you still be so magnanimous? My question left her speechless. If there's nothing else, please leave. I closed the door. Through the door, I could still hear her voice. Calm down. Don't act on impulse. I ignored it and went back to my computer to continue working. In the afternoon, Li Shufan also came. This time she didn't come alone. She was accompanied by Jace Gu. Open the door. I know you're inside. Li Shufan shouted outside the door. I didn't move. Come out. Let's talk. Jace Gu's voice came through. I still didn't respond. They stood outside the door for half an hour before finally leaving. At night, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. Hello, it's me, Sky Jiang. My grip on the phone tightened. What do you want? I heard you and Jace are getting a divorce. Her voice carried a hint of caution. None of your business. I feel I owe you an explanation. She took a deep breath. Jace and I are really just friends. There's nothing between us. Nothing. In my previous life, I believed those words too, but now looking back, it's truly laughable. Sky Jiang, whatever you have or don't have, I don't care. I said coldly. Jace Gu and I divorced because we were incompatible. It has nothing to do with you, really. She seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. That's good then. I was worried it might be because of my return to the country. It's not, I said indifferently. By the way, congratulations on your return. Thank you. She paused. Jace is actually a good person. He just doesn't know how to express himself. You should talk it out properly. Don't act impulsively. A good person doesn't know how to express himself. Hearing these words, a wave of nausea rose within me. Sky Jiang, you don't need to worry about the matters between Jace Gu and me. I know, I hung up the phone directly. This woman, in my past life, she was exactly the same. Pretending to mediate between us while secretly wishing for our divorce. Now she's finally gotten what she wanted. I turned off my phone and lay on the bed. Tomorrow, I will go to court to file for divorce. This time, I will never give anyone another chance. The lawsuit has already been submitted to the court. I sat in the law firm, listening to the lawyer analyze the chances of winning the case. Ms. Lin, your husband has hired the best legal team in the capital. It seems he has no intention of cooperating. I know. I had expected this long ago. Jace Gu won't let go easily. Not out of love, but for the sake of his pride. Don't worry, we have a good chance of winning, according to the new marriage law. If one party insists on divorce and the relationship is indeed broken, the court will grant the divorce. How long will it take? if everything goes smoothly, it will take 3 to 6 months. 3 to 6 months. In my previous life, I fell ill and died within just 3 months. This time, I have enough time. There's one more thing, the lawyer reminded me, regarding the division of assets. Your husband has a substantial income and some investments. You can fight for a fair share. I don't want the money. The lawyer seemed surprised. No money, Ms. Lin. These are your legal rights. I just want freedom. After leaving the law firm, I went to the bank and cancelled all the bank cards Jace Gu had given me when we got married. I didn't want a single cent of that money. In the afternoon, I received a call from the editor of the travel magazine. The Yunnan topic is confirmed. You can set off next week. So soon? Yes, it's just the perfect travel season. Will you be okay going alone? No problem. Perfect timing. I also want to get away from this city for a while. Returning to the apartment in the evening, I found a thermal lunchbox placed at the door. Inside were millet porridge and pickles, along with a note. Mom knows you love millet porridge. So I made it especially for you. Whatever's going on, come home and talk. Don't suffer alone outside. Reading the note, my eyes grew warm with emotion. To say I wasn't moved would be a lie. After all, Li Shufan had indeed been good to me. But recalling her behavior after my death in my previous life, that warmth was quickly replaced by indifference. People's hearts change. When interests collide, blood ties will always prove stronger than marital bonds. I poured out the porridge, tore up the note, and threw it all in the trash. The next day, the court summons arrived. The hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. I had just received the summons when Jace Gu's call came through. Lin, are you really taking this to court? This isn't a joke, it's due process. Do you know the consequences of doing this? His voice was filled with anger. How will the media report it? What will my superiors think? That's your problem to consider. Lin, he roared, don't push me. What are you forcing me to do? I sneered. Jace Gu, don't tell me you think you can use your authority to stop me from getting a divorce. There was silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds. Try me. With that, he hung up. My heart sank. Given Jace Gu's status and connections, he could indeed cause trouble for me, but I won't back down. That afternoon, I went to the police station to update my ID information, changing the emergency contact from Jace Gu to my college classmate. Then I went to the bank to open a new account, ready to start fresh. After doing all this, I felt much more at ease. Turns out breaking free from someone, from a relationship, could be this simple. In my past life, I was so foolish, always thinking love was everything, always believing I couldn't live without him. Only now do I realize that I can live well without anyone. In the evening, while packing for my business trip, I received a text message. It's Yarlin. There's an afternoon tea gathering tomorrow, and everyone is very concerned about you. You must come. I've attended many afternoon tea gatherings hosted by officers' wives. It was nothing more than chatting about trivial family matters, showing off each other's lives, and spreading some gossip along the way. In my previous life, I thoroughly enjoyed these gatherings, feeling accepted and part of this circle. Now that I think about it, it's really ridiculous. I didn't reply and simply deleted the message. The next morning, I went to the law firm to confirm the preparations for the court hearing. Ms. Lin. The opposing lawyer contacted me yesterday, wanting to settle out of court. Settle what? Mainly to understand your true intentions and see if a settlement can be reached. A settlement? I sneered. Tell them there's no possibility of a settlement. All I want is a divorce. The lawyer nodded. I understand. In the afternoon, I went to the supermarket to buy some things and ran into a few officers' wives. When they saw me, their expressions turned somewhat awkward. One of them leaned in and whispered, "Everyone knows about you and Jace. So what if I know? Everyone thinks you're being too impulsive," she advised. What couple doesn't argue? Taking this to court will make such an ugly scene when word gets out. Ugly or not, I don't care. But Jace does, another chimed in. He's been completely worn out lately, distracted in every meeting. Haggard, distracted. I sneered inwardly. In my past life, even when I was gravely ill, he never looked haggard. Now, for the sake of face, he's actually haggard. That's his business. It has nothing to do with me. I pushed the shopping cart away. Their gossiping voices came from behind. Honestly. How did it come to this? Exactly. He used to be such a gentle person, probably in early menopause. I didn't turn back, just kept walking forward. Let them talk. Anyway, I'll be leaving this circle soon. Back at the apartment, I started packing my luggage. I'm going to Yunnan tomorrow. And this business trip will last at least a month. It's perfect timing to avoid the period before the court hearing. So I won't have to deal with people coming to persuade me every day, while packing halfway. The doorbell rang. I thought it was another officer's wife coming to convince me, but to my surprise, it was Sky Jiang at the door. She was wearing a beige dress with delicate makeup, looking gentle and charming. No wonder Jace Gu couldn't forget her. Sorry to bother you, she said with a smile. I'd like to talk to you. Nothing to talk about. I was about to close the door. She quickly reached out to stop me. I know you've misunderstood something. But I really need to explain it to you clearly. I looked at her, suddenly feeling like I was watching a play. Come in. She sat on the sofa, looking at me cautiously. I think you might have misunderstood the relationship between Jace and me. Misunderstood? I picked up my teacup. Sky Jiang. What exactly do you think I've misunderstood? Jace and I were indeed college classmates, and we did date, but that's all in the past, she said earnestly. During these years I've been abroad. We've hardly been in contact. I remember in my past life, Jace Gu kept her photo in his phone all the time. Then why did you text him? Her face turned slightly red. I just wanted to catch up with an old classmate. Nothing more. Old classmate. I set down my teacup. Sky Jiang. Do you take me for a fool? She was taken aback by my directness. You texted Jace Gu on his personal phone, I said coldly, staring at her. If it was truly just an old classmate relationship, why didn't you message his work phone? Why not contact him through other classmates? Why did it have to be a private connection? Her expression changed. I continued, if there's really nothing between you, why did you come to me? Why explain? Guilty conscience. Sky Jiang's face turned completely pale. She didn't expect me to be so direct, so sharp. You've changed, she whispered. Yes, I've changed. I stood up. I'm no longer that naive woman who knew nothing and believed everything. She bit her lip. Then what do you want? I don't want anything. I just want a divorce. What about me and Jace? I don't care about you and him. I walked to the door. Sky Jiang. The door is right there. Don't let it hit you on the way out. She remained seated. I want you to understand that I never intended to ruin your marriage. Is that so? I sneered. Then why are you here to see me now? My question left her speechless. Sky Jiang, the only reason you came to me is to confirm whether I'm truly getting a divorce or just throwing a tantrum. I said word by word. Now I'm telling you, I'm serious about the divorce, not just throwing a tantrum. You can rest assured. Her eyes reddened. Do you really hate me this much? I don't hate you, I said calmly. Hate requires emotion. And you're not worth any emotion from me. These words clearly cut her deeply. She stood up. Tears falling. I know my return has caused you trouble. I can leave. Where you go is your freedom. It has nothing to do with me. She looked at me, her eyes filled with disbelief. You've really changed. Become someone I don't even recognize. Sky Jiang, you never really knew me. I opened the door. Now, please leave. As she walked past me, she suddenly stopped. If one day you regret this, I won't regret it, I interrupted her. Just like you never regretted choosing to go abroad back then, I won't regret my choice now either. Her face turned even paler as she hurried away. I closed the door and leaned against it, taking a deep breath. Sky Jiang, our accounts can finally be settled. The sunlight in Yunnan is wonderful, warm and soothing on the skin, making the whole world seem brighter. I sat in a cafe in Dallas ancient town, sipping pu'er tea while organizing the photos I had taken over the past few days. My fellow photographer, Xiao Wang, was a young man in his 20s. He didn't talk much, but he was very professional. Teacher Lin. This set of sunrise photos over Erhai Lake is particularly stunning. Your copywriting will surely be beautiful. Thank you. I nodded with a smile. This week, I almost forgot all those troubles back in Beijing. Every day, I wake up early to photograph the sunrise, wander through streets and alleys during the day, and organize manuscripts in the evening. Life is fulfilling and meaningful. Most importantly, I rediscovered the joy of work. Professor Lin, did you rarely go out for fieldwork before? Xiao Wang asked curiously. Yeah, it's been a few years. Why? I paused for a moment, due to some personal reasons. Xiao Wang was perceptive enough not to press further. In the afternoon, we went to Tsongshan Mountain. Standing atop the mountain and overlooking the entire Dali Basin, the distant mountains are like dark eyebrows, and Erhai Lake is as smooth as a mirror. Everything is so beautiful it feels unreal. I took a deep breath of the fresh air, feeling as if a heavy stone that had been pressing on my chest for so long had finally been lifted. Professor Lin, you seem to be in a great mood, Xiao Wang said. Do I? You seem so relaxed now. Completely different from when you first arrived. When I first came, I was indeed still carrying the gloom from Beijing. Now, I feel like I've come back to life. In the evening, back at the inn, I opened my laptop and started writing about the day's travels. The 19 peaks of Tsongshan Mountain each have their own character. Just like life, with its ups and downs, highs and lows, every stretch of the journey has its unique scenery. At this point, I pause. This sounds a bit like motivational fluff. Not the style I'm aiming for. Delete and rewrite. The stones of Tsongshan Mountain are quite peculiar, layered upon layer, recording millions of years of geological changes. The tour guide said that some rocks may appear fragile, but in reality, they are harder than steel. This way of writing is more objective and also more interesting. While I was writing, my phone rang. It was a Beijing number, but not Jace Guz. Hello, Elle, it's me, Yarlin. I frowned. What's up? Where are you? Why haven't you been reachable for so long? I'm at work. Work? Her voice carried surprise. You still need to work. The question was quite strange. In her perception, should military wives just stay at home to care for their husbands and children, without needing to work? Of course I need to work. I'm not a useless person. I didn't mean it that way, she quickly explained. I meant, isn't Jace's salary enough? Zhong Yarlin. Jace Gu and I are about to get divorced. What does his salary have to do with me? There was silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds. Elle, the reason I called is to try to talk some sense into you. Are you going to lecture me again? I said impatiently. I've made it clear. There's no room for discussion. But Jace is really suffering, she said. He's lost a lot of weight these past 2 weeks and has been weighed down with worries every day. Suffering, lost a lot of weight. In my previous life, when I was seriously ill, he didn't suffer at all. Zhong Yarlin. Are you here to persuade me or to gather information? What do you mean by gathering information? To find out if I'm really getting a divorce, I said coldly. I'm telling you now officially, I'm serious. Not just throwing a tantrum. Elle, how could you think of me like that? Her voice carried a tone of grievance. We're friends, and I genuinely care about you. Friends. I recalled what she had said at my funeral in my past life. Elle Lin is indeed a bit dramatic, always overthinking things. Jace is free now. It might actually be for the best, and this is her so-called care. If you truly care about me, stop trying to talk me out of it. I said, I'm doing well now. Better than ever before. But, no buts. I cut her off. Zhong Yarlin. I have work to do. I'm hanging up now. I hung up directly and then blocked her number, one after another. These people come to persuade me, claiming it's for my own good. Actually, they just can't stand that I broke the established rules. In their eyes, military wives should endure silently, should support their husbands unconditionally, and should swallow their grievances. But I insist on breaking these rules. I keep writing late into the night, sleeping when tired and working when awake. This life is simple and pure, free from the complexities of human relationships and emotional entanglements. Just me and my words. Early the next morning, Xiao Wang and I went to Shuanglang. The small town by Erhai Lake was peaceful and serene, with fishermen already starting their day's work. We found a lakeside inn and ordered some local specialties. Teacher Lin, why did you choose to become a writer? Xiao Wang asked while eating. Because I enjoy it, I thought for a moment. I enjoy using words to document life and record feelings. Then why did you stop working after getting married? This question caught me off guard. Why did I stop working? because Jace Gu said military wives shouldn't show their faces in public, because Li Shufan said women should prioritize family, because those officers' wives said we should focus on providing logistical support. Gradually, I came to believe it, thinking giving up my career was the right thing to do, an expression of love. Now that I think about it, it's really ridiculous, because at the time, family seemed more important, I said quietly, and now I feel more important. Xiao Wang smiled. I think you're right, people should still have their own careers. After dinner, we took a walk by Erhai Lake. The lake water was clear, with gentle breezes, and the distant mountains were picturesque. I took out my phone, snapped a few photos, intending to post them on my social media, but then put it down. This kind of beauty, I want to keep it all to myself. No need for likes or comments from others, no need to prove anything to anyone. In the afternoon, I received a call from my lawyer, Ms. Lin. There's a new development from the court. What is it? The opposing counsel has requested a postponement of the hearing, citing the need for more time to prepare materials. I frowned. Is this a stalling tactic? Very likely, but don't worry. The court won't postpone indefinitely. It'll be delayed for at most 1 month. I understand. After hanging up the phone, I felt somewhat heavy-hearted. Jace Gu has started using all sorts of tactics to delay, but it's okay, I have plenty of time. This time, I won't compromise. At night, I sit on the balcony of the inn, watching the fishing lights on Erhai Lake. From afar comes the fishermen's chants, melodious and sorrowful. I remember my past self, waiting at home every day for Jace Gu to return, waiting for his call, waiting for his smile. Back then, I pinned all my happiness on him. Only now do I realize that true happiness can only come from within. Anyone can leave, any relationship can end, but the relationship with myself is eternal. I took out my phone and sent a message to the magazine editor. This time the article was written very smoothly, and it's expected to be submitted next week. Also, if there are any other projects involving business trips, I can take them on. A reply came quickly. That's great. There's a project in Tibet next month. Are you interested? Tibet, I've always wanted to go, but in my past life, Jace Gu said it was too dangerous and wouldn't let me. Now, no one can stop me. I'm interested. Send me the details. After sending the message, I took a deep breath. The feeling of freedom is truly wonderful. Returning to Beijing from Yunnan, I noticed a familiar military vehicle parked downstairs at my apartment. It was Jace Gu's car. I hesitated for a moment, then walked over. Driver Xiao Liu saw me and quickly got out of the car. Sister-in-law, you're back. Xiao Liu, did the chief send you? Yes. The chief said you're back from your business trip and asked me to pick you up to go home. Go home? Which home? Thank you, but that won't be necessary. I can go up by myself. Sister-in-law, Xiao Liu said with some difficulty. The chief has instructed me to bring you back no matter what. Seeing his troubled expression, I suddenly felt a pang of guilt. Xiao Liu is a good kid, very honest, and has taken good care of me all these years. Xiao Liu, go back and tell the chief that I won't be returning, I said gently. This isn't your fault. It's my decision. Xiao Liu grew anxious. Sister-in-law, what exactly happened between you and the chief? Lately, he's completely changed, always preoccupied. Sometimes he doesn't even hear when you call him. Doesn't hear. A strange feeling flickered through my heart, but I quickly suppressed it. Xiao Liu, don't concern yourself with adult matters, just focus on driving properly. With that, I entered the apartment building. Just as I stepped into the elevator, my phone rang. It was Jace Gu. Are you back? Yeah, I'm waiting for you downstairs. Come down. I'm not coming down. Lin, don't go too far. His voice was filled with anger. It's been a month. Haven't you had enough of this tantrum? Tantrum, that word again. Jace Gu, I'm not making trouble. I'm being serious. Serious about what? Seriously trying to destroy our marriage. You're the one who destroyed it, not me. There was silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds. Come upstairs and let's talk. His tone softened a bit. We can work through any issues. There's nothing to talk about. If you don't come down, I'll come up. I won't open the door even if you come up. Lin. I hung up the phone directly. When I got home, I found a bouquet of flowers on the coffee table. along with a card. L. Welcome home, Jace. It seems he's been here. I threw the flowers in the trash and tore the card to pieces. What's the point of sending flowers now, of all times? In my previous life, on my birthday, he was in a meeting. When I was seriously ill, he was away on a business trip. When I needed him the most, he was never there. Now that I don't need him anymore, he's suddenly attentive. In the evening, Li Shufan called. L. You're back. Jace said you didn't want to come home. Mom, I'm no longer part of this family. Don't talk nonsense. Her voice sounded urgent. No matter what conflicts you have between you, you'll always be my daughter-in-law. Hearing this, I still felt somewhat moved inside. Mom, I really can't go on with Jace Gu anymore. Why can't you go on? She asked. Is there something Jace isn't doing right? What isn't he doing right? I let out a bitter laugh. If it's just not done well, there's still room for redemption. The problem is, he didn't do it at all. Mom, there are some things you wouldn't understand even if I told you. Tell me, and I'll stand up for you. Be the boss. How could Li Shufan be the boss for me? In my previous life, after I died, she was the first to support Jace Gu and Sky Jiang being together. Saying something about how young people should look forward. Mom, you should rest early. I still have work to do here. L. Her voice choked with emotion. Don't treat your mother like this. It hurts me deeply. Hearing her cry made my heart ache too, but I couldn't afford to soften. Mom, I'll visit you regularly. But I won't return to that home. Why? Because that was never my home. I hung up the phone and leaned back on the sofa. Actually, I knew that Li Shufan genuinely cared for me. At least on the surface, that was the case. But when her son and daughter-in-law have a conflict, who would she choose? The answer is obvious. Blood ties are always stronger than marital bonds. The next day, I went to the magazine office and submitted my article about Yunnan. The editor was very pleased with it and immediately gave me the detailed arrangements for next month's trip to Tibet. L. You're in such great form. This draft is written with real spark. Thank you. By the way, a publishing house wants to release a travel essay collection and asked if we could recommend any suitable authors. I think you'd be perfect. Are you interested? Publish a book. This has always been my dream. Of course I'm interested. Then I'll give you their contact information, and you can have a chat. Leaving the magazine office, I was in a great mood. Work was going smoothly, the future looked bright, and life was full of hope. This feeling is even more wonderful than being in love. In the afternoon, I went to the bank to handle the procedures for my trip to Tibet. Just as I stepped out of the bank, I ran into Zhong Yalin. When she saw me, there was a complex look in her eyes. L, you're really back. What do you want? I didn't want to waste words with her. Do you know Jace is in the hospital? In the hospital? I froze for a moment. When did this happen? Yesterday. She studied my expression carefully. A stomach hemorrhage. Still in the hospital now. Stomach hemorrhage. A flicker of worry passed through me, but I quickly regained control. Then you should go to the hospital to accompany him, not block me here. L, aren't you worried at all? She asked incredulously. He's your husband. He won't be for long. He got sick because of you. She raised her voice. He hasn't been able to eat or sleep lately, and has lost over 10 pounds. Was it because of me that he got sick? I let out a cold laugh. Zhong Yalin. Are you sure he got sick because of me, and not for some other reason? She paused for a moment. Other reason? What other reason? I didn't answer and turned to leave. In my previous life, when I was seriously ill, where was he? When I needed him, where was he? Now that it's his turn to be sick, he expects me to soften my heart. Too late. Returning home, I turned on my computer and started looking up travel guides for Tibet. There are many things to prepare for this trip: medication for altitude sickness, warm clothing, and photography equipment. I was busy until very late before I finally went to take a shower and sleep. In the middle of the night, I was awakened by the ringing of my phone. It was Li Shufan calling. L, Jace is in the hospital. Did you know? I checked the time. 2 a.m. I know. Then why haven't you gone to see him? Her voice trembled with tears. The doctor said it's acute gastric bleeding. Very dangerous. Is it dangerous? My heart wavered again. Mom, he has doctors taking care of him. There's no need to worry. L. No matter what conflicts you have with him, he's sick now. You should go see him. I'm not going. Why? Her voice rose. Do you have any conscience left? Conscience? I almost burst out laughing. Mom, where was he when I was sick? When did you get sick? Indeed, even Li Shufan didn't know. In my previous life, after I was diagnosed with cancer, the first person I told was Jace Gu. He just calmly said he knew, and then there was no follow-up. When my condition worsened, he was on a business trip. During my surgery, he was in a meeting. When I died, he was having dinner with Sky Jiang. Now that it's his turn to be sick, he expects me to have a conscience. Mom, you go accompany him. I won't be going. Elle, how did you become like this? She cried. You used to be so kind, so gentle. How could you turn so cold-hearted now? Cold-hearted. The word stung me, but I didn't argue back, because I know, in their eyes, the me who doesn't meet their expectations is heartless. Mom, you should rest early. I'm hanging up now. I turned off my phone and lay back down on the bed, but I couldn't fall asleep anymore. I keep thinking about Jace Gu being sick. A stomach hemorrhage is indeed quite serious. In my previous life, I also suffered from stomach problems and know how painful it can be. Thinking about this, I feel somewhat shaken. Should we go see him? After all, we were once husband and wife. But then again, I thought it might not be necessary. We're about to get divorced. What's the point of going to see him? Give him hope, or bring trouble upon myself? I covered my head with the blanket, forcing myself not to think about it, but until dawn. I couldn't fall asleep. Early the next morning, I still went to the hospital, not out of soft-heartedness, but to completely sever this relationship. Some things needed to be said clearly in person. Jace Gu was staying in the VIP ward, with Xiao Liu standing guard at the door. His eyes lit up when he saw me. Sister-in-law, you're here. The chief will be so happy when he finds out. I didn't respond and pushed the door open to enter. The ward was quiet. Jace Gu lay on the bed. Pale and with his eyes closed, hearing footsteps, he opened his eyes. Seeing it was me, he paused for a moment, then a flicker of delight flashed in his eyes. Elle, you're here. I sat down on the chair by the bed. I heard you had a stomach hemorrhage. It's nothing serious, just my old ailment acting up again. He tried to sit up. I'm really glad you came to see me. Jace Gu, I didn't come because I'm worried about you. I looked straight into his eyes. I'm here to make things clear with you. His expression froze. What do you mean? There's no room for negotiation regarding the divorce, I said calmly. No matter what tactics you use to delay, my decision won't change. His face turned even paler. Elle, why are you being so heartless? Heartless? I recalled his behavior in my past life and couldn't help but sneer. Jace Gu, the heartless one is you, not me. How am I heartless? He said agitatedly. I gave you the best life. I gave you all of what? I interrupted him. All of the indifference, all of the neglect, or all of the perfunctory treatment. He was left speechless by my words. Do you know, for 3 years, you've never truly looked at me. My voice was calm, but each word cut like a knife. In your eyes, I'm just a decoration, a wife in name only, an existence that could be dispensed with. I didn't. You do. I stood up. Jace Gu, I've never been in your heart. So why should I continue this meaningless marriage? He reached out to grab me, but I avoided his touch. Elle, give me a chance. I can change. Change, I scoffed. That's what you said last time too. He froze for a moment. Last time, realizing I'd slipped up, I quickly corrected myself. I mean, every time I bring up an issue, you say you can change, but you never actually do. This time is different, he said eagerly. This time I'm serious. Serious. I looked at him coldly. What about Sky Jiang? At the mention of that name, his expression changed. She has nothing to do with us. Is that so? I took out my phone from my bag and pulled up a photo. Then how do you explain this? The photo was sent to me by Zhong Yalin yesterday, saying she wanted me to see how haggard Jace Gu looked. But what caught my attention wasn't his haggard appearance. It was the vase beside the hospital bed. Inside the vase was a bouquet of lilies. And lilies happened to be Sky Jiang's favorite flowers. Jace Gu's face turned ashen the moment he saw the photo. Who sent this bouquet of flowers? I asked. He didn't answer. It was sent by Sky Jiang, wasn't it? I pressed on. She knew you were hospitalized and came specifically to see you. Elle, listen to me. No need to explain. I put away my phone. Jace Gu, there's nothing left to say between us. That's not true. He tried to get out of bed, but I held him down. Listen to me. There's really nothing between me and Sky Jiang. Then why did you meet her? Why did you accept her flowers? He was left speechless by my question. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself down. Jace Gu, the problem between us isn't Sky Jiang, it's that you don't love me at all. I love you, he said urgently. I love you. I had waited 3 years to hear those 3 words. Now hearing it only feels ironic. If this is your love, then I don't want it. I turned and walked toward the door. Jace Gu, focus on recovering. I'll have the lawyer send over the divorce papers. Lin, he shouted behind me, you can't do this to me. I stopped and looked back at him. Jace Gu, what you did to me back then, I'll do the same to you. When have I ever wronged you? You really don't know, I sneered. Or are you pretending not to know? He glared at me, his eyes filled with anger and confusion. Jace Gu, search your conscience. Have you ever treated me as your wife for even a single day in these 3 years? I spoke word by word. Have you ever invested any emotion in me? Have you ever cared about my feelings? Have you ever tried to understand my thoughts? Each question was like a knife, stabbing straight into his heart. His face grew paler, and cold sweat beaded on his forehead. You haven't, I answered. In your heart, I'm just a tool, a means to cope with external pressure, taken out for display when needed, then tossed aside in a corner when not. I didn't. You have. I cut him off. Jace Gu, this is reality, cruel reality. You never loved me, and I won't love you anymore. With that, I left the hospital room without looking back. Behind me came his heart-wrenching cries. Lin, come back. You come back here. But I didn't look back. Stepping out of the hospital, the sunlight was blinding. I squinted my eyes. Finally, everything has been made clear. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. The phone rang. It was a call from the publishing house editor, Ms. Lin. We've reviewed your work and are very interested. Would you have time to meet next week for a detailed discussion? Of course there's time. Then it's settled. I'll send you the address later. After hanging up the phone, I took a deep breath. A new life begins now. Returning to the apartment in the evening, I started packing my luggage. I'm going to Tibet the day after tomorrow. This trip is quite long, and there's a lot to prepare. While organizing my camera equipment, the doorbell rang. I thought it was a delivery, but when I opened the door, I saw Sky Jiang. She looked exhausted, with red eyes as if she had been crying. I want to talk to you. Nothing to talk about. I was about to close the door. She reached out to block it. Please, just a few minutes. Seeing her like this, I hesitated for a moment but eventually let her in. She sat on the sofa, head lowered, silent for a long while. Speak up if you have something to say. I have things to do, I urged. I want to ask you for a favor. She lifted her head, eyes brimming with tears. Don't divorce Jace, okay? This took me by surprise. Why? Because he truly loves you, she said through tears. At the hospital today, he kept calling your name. The doctor said his condition is very serious, and if this continues, he might what? He might be in life-threatening danger. Life-threatening danger. My heart skipped a beat, but I quickly regained my composure. Sky Jiang, do you really think I'd believe you? Everything I said is true, she said urgently. Whether you believe it or not, Jace truly loves you. What about you? I stared at her coldly. Don't you love him? She was taken aback by my question, her face turning pale. Sky Jiang, did you come to persuade me not to divorce because Jace Gu asked you to, or because your conscience finally kicked in? She bit her lip and didn't answer. I'm guessing it's the former. I stood up. He asked you to persuade me because he knows no one else can influence my decision except you. No, yes, I interrupted her. Jace Gu is very smart. He knows what matters most to me, so he sent you. Her tears flowed even more intensely. Why would you think of us that way? Because that's the truth. I walked to the door. Sky Jiang, have you two had enough of this act? What act? A devoted man, a kind-hearted ex-girlfriend, and an unreasonable current wife. I sneered. You've been acting out this drama for 3 years. Aren't you tired? She was stunned, staring at me speechless. Now it's fine. The unreasonable wife is stepping aside, so you two can be together openly. I opened the door, wishing you happiness. No, you've misunderstood. I haven't misunderstood anything, I said calmly. Sky Jiang, sometimes those involved are blind, while bystanders see clearly. Right now, I'm the bystander, so I see everything perfectly. She tried to say something, but I cut her off. All right. Everything that needs to be said has been said. You can go now. She stood up, her eyes filled with despair. If anything really happens to Jace, you'll regret it. Sky Jiang, I looked at her. If I compromise because of your threats, that's when I'll truly regret it. She was completely shattered by my words, covering her face and running out in tears. I closed the door and leaned against it. This farce was finally coming to an end. The day of the court hearing arrived. I wore a simple black suit, applied light makeup, and arrived at the courthouse half an hour early. The lawyer was already waiting for me at the entrance. Ms. Lin, are you ready? I'm ready. The other party might come up with various excuses today to prevent the divorce, so you must stand firm in your position. I will. As I entered the courtroom, I saw Jace Gu already seated in the defendant's dock. He looked even more haggard than the last time we met, his face pale and his eyes sunken. When he saw me, a flicker of complex emotions passed through his eyes. I ignored it and walked straight to the plaintiff's seat to sit down. The judge entered and declared the court in session. The court is now hearing the divorce dispute case of Lin versus Jace Gu. First came the statements from both sides' attorneys. My lawyer succinctly stated the grounds for the lawsuit. The marital relationship has broken down, making it impossible to continue living together. Jace Gu's lawyer, on the other hand, delivered a lengthy rebuttal, arguing that the marital relationship had not completely broken down, that there was still room for reconciliation, and that the plaintiff was merely acting on impulse, among other points. Then came the evidence presentation phase. My lawyer submitted evidence of Jace Gu's prolonged neglect toward me, including call logs, text message records, and more. Jace Gu's lawyer submitted photos from our marriage, attempting to prove the harmony of our marital relationship. I remember all those photos. They were taken at various public events, appearing perfectly harmonious on the surface. But only I know that behind each photo was my solo performance. Now, both parties are invited to make their statements, the judge said. I stood up and cleared my throat. Your Honor, my reason for requesting a divorce is simple. The defendant and I have irreconcilable differences and can no longer live together. What are the specific manifestations of these irreconcilable differences? The judge asked. The defendant is indifferent toward me, shows no concern for my feelings, and we lack basic communication and understanding between us. Does the plaintiff have evidence to prove that the defendant committed any wrongful acts? I remained silent for a moment. Wrongful acts? From a legal perspective, Jace Gu indeed did not show any obvious wrongdoing. He didn't cheat, didn't commit domestic violence, didn't gamble, and rarely even raised his voice in arguments. His problem was indifference, neglect, treating me like air. But none of these count as faults in the eyes of the law. There are no obvious wrongful acts, but the relationship has indeed broken down. I answered truthfully. It's Jace Gu's turn to make his statement. He stood up, his voice slightly hoarse. Your Honor, I disagree with the divorce. What's the reason? My relationship with the plaintiff hasn't broken down. There are just some minor conflicts. He glanced at me. I'm willing to correct my shortcomings and salvage this marriage. Again, correcting, again, salvaging. I looked at him coldly, feeling nothing inside. Does the defendant admit to not showing enough care for the plaintiff? The judge asked. Jace Gu hesitated for a moment. I admit that due to work, I haven't been attentive enough to my wife, but this isn't a sign of a broken relationship. It's an area where I need to improve. So how does the defendant plan to improve? I'll adjust my work schedule, spend more time with my wife, and be more considerate of her feelings. Hearing these words, I couldn't help but want to laugh. Adjust work schedule, spend more time with wife. Does he think this is acting? What does the plaintiff think of the defendant's promise? The judge asked me. I stood up and calmly said, Your Honor, I've heard the defendant's promises many times, but they've never been fulfilled. I've completely lost hope in this marriage and don't want to give any more chances. Has the plaintiff considered mediation? No consideration. I shook my head firmly. my stance is clear. I want a divorce. The judge looked at both parties and said, given the significant differences between the two sides, the court will announce the verdict at a later date. Your Honor. I still have something to say. Jace Gu suddenly spoke up. Go ahead. He looked at me, his eyes filled with pain. I know I haven't been good enough, but I truly love you. His voice trembled. Please give me another chance. I promise I'll change. The defendant, this is a courtroom, not a relationship counseling session. The judge reminded. I know, but I have to say it. Jace Gu's tears fell. I can't live without you. Seeing him cry, my heart wavered for a moment, but soon I remembered everything from my past life, recalling his indifference during my severe illness, his absence before my death, and his embrace with Sky Jiang at my funeral. Defendant, please control your emotions, the judge said. Jace Gu wiped away his tears and sat down. Court is now adjourned. Awaiting the verdict, stepping out of the courtroom, I took a deep breath. It's finally over. The lawyer walked over and said, Ms. Lin, I think our chances of winning are quite good. The judge seemed rather sympathetic toward you. When will the verdict be announced? About a week or so. I nodded. Thank you. Just as I was about to leave, Jace Gu caught up. Wait. I stopped in my tracks but didn't turn around. Do you really hate me that much? His voice was soft, filled with endless sorrow. I don't hate you, I said calmly. Hate requires emotion, and I have no feelings left for you. These words clearly cut him deeply. He stood behind me for a long time. But in the end, he said nothing more. Back home, I started the final packing. I'm heading to Tibet tomorrow, and by the time I return, I should have the divorce certificate in hand. Then, I'll be completely free. In the evening, Li Shufan called. Was there a court hearing today? Yeah, how did it go? Still waiting for the verdict. There was a silence on the other end of the line. Are you really going to divorce Jace? Her voice was soft, pleading. Yes, why? She cried. You were doing so well together. Why get a divorce? Doing well. If this is called doing well, then what would be considered not doing well? Mom, there are some things you wouldn't understand. Tell me about it. I'll help mediate for you guys. Mediate? I let out a bitter laugh. Mom, in this world, no one can mediate our problems. She sobbed. Jace really loves you. He's lost so much weight lately and can't eat anything every day. The same old lines again. Mom, if he truly loved me, we wouldn't have ended up like this. Child, everyone makes mistakes. Give him a chance to make things right. I gave him chances, many times, I said calmly, but he never cherished them. Mom, you should rest early. I have a business trip tomorrow. Another business trip. Where to? Tibet, so far away. Her voice rose. What's a young girl like you going to do in a place like that? Work. What kind of work is so important that you have to go to such a dangerous place? I remembered Jace Gu saying the same thing in my past life. At that time, I listened and obediently gave up on the trip to Tibet. Now that I think about it, why did I give up? Tibet is my dream. Why should I give up my dream for someone else's worries? Mom, I'll take care of myself. Don't go. It's too dangerous. It's not dangerous. Then wait until Jace is ready to go. Let him accompany you. Have Jace Gu accompany me. I almost burst out laughing. Mom, I'm about to divorce him soon. He won't accompany me. If you don't divorce him, he will accompany you. That's her logic. To gain a man's companionship, a woman must abandon her own thoughts and yield to the man's will. Mom, I don't need anyone to accompany me, I said firmly. I can go anywhere I want alone. How did you become so stubborn? It's not stubbornness, it's clarity. I hung up the phone and continued packing my luggage. Tomorrow, I will go to Tibet. That is the place of my dreams and the beginning of my new life. The sunlight in Lhasa is very special, bright and pure, making one feel as if the whole world has been cleansed. Standing in the square of the Potala Palace, I looked up at this magnificent structure, feeling a surge of awe in my heart. Finally, I've arrived at the place of my dreams. Professor Lin, how are you coping with the altitude sickness? Photographer Xiao Zhong asked with concern. Not too bad, just a bit dizzy. The altitude here is high, but you'll gradually adjust to it." I nodded and raised my camera to take a few photos. This trip to Tibet will cover many places, with Lhasa being just the first stop. Later, we'll also visit Namtso Lake and Everest Base Camp. The itinerary is quite tight, but I'm thrilled, as every destination is somewhere I've longed to visit. After spending 2 days in Lhasa to acclimatize to the high altitude, we set off for Namtso. The scenery along the way was breathtakingly beautiful. Snow-capped mountains, grasslands, and lakes, everything looked like a painting. I carried my notebook, recording the sights and my inner feelings throughout the journey. The sky was that kind of pure blue, so blue it was hard to believe. The clouds floated low, as if you could reach out and touch them. The distant mountains were covered in snow, glittering in the sunlight like a place where gods reside. As I was writing, I suddenly remembered my past self. Back then, I stayed in the military compound every day, looking at the same scenery and living the same life. I thought that was happiness, that it was everything I wanted. Only now do I realize that true happiness is freedom, the ability to pursue one's dreams. "Teacher Lin, what are you writing?" Xiaozhong asked curiously. "Travel notes," I replied with a smile. "The scenery here is too beautiful. It would be a shame not to record it." "You really love this job." "Yes, I truly do." Arriving at Namtso, I was awestruck by the scenery before me. The lake water was as blue as a gemstone, so clear that the bottom was visible, the distant mountains reflected in the water, the sky mirrored in the lake. It was hard to tell where the sky ended and the earth began. I sat by the lakeshore, quietly taking in this breathtaking view, suddenly remembered a saying: life is not just about the trivialities before us, but also poetry and distant horizons. In the past, I only had the trivialities before me. Now, I have finally found poetry and distant horizons. Just as I was lost in thought, my phone rang. It's a Beijing number, but not one I recognize. "Hello, MS. Lin. I'm a court official. There's a result in your divorce case." My heart tightened. "What's the result?" "The court has ruled to grant the divorce." Hearing this, I let out a long sigh of relief. Finally, I was free. "Thank you. I understand. When will you come back to collect the divorce certificate?" "Next week." After hanging up the phone, I looked at the lake before me, my eyes slightly moist, not from sadness, but from relief. 3 years of marriage had finally come to an end. From today onwards, I am a completely free person. "Teacher Lin, any good news?" Xiaozhong asked curiously. Noticing the change in my expression, "You could say that." I smiled. "A matter that has troubled me for a long time has finally been resolved." "Congratulations then." "Thank you." I stood up and took a deep breath of the highland air. The air here, though thin, was pure and sweet, just like my current state of mind. Somewhat empty, yet light and free. In the following days, we went to Everest Base Camp, standing at an altitude of 5,200 meters, gazing up at the world's highest peak. I felt both smaller and greater than ever before. Small because, in the face of nature, humans are truly insignificant. Great because I finally had the courage to chase my dreams and the courage to live for myself. That night, I wrote for a long time in my tent. Today I saw Mount Everest, the roof of the world. It stands there quietly, unchanged for tens of thousands of years, witnessing the changes of the world. I think life should be like Mount Everest, having its own height and its own perseverance, unshaken by external storms, unchanged by others' opinions. After writing these words, I felt particularly at peace. This time, I finally lived for myself. On the last day of our trip to Tibet, we visited a small village. The village is very small, with only a dozen or so households, but the people's faces are filled with simple, genuine smiles. I chatted with an elderly Tibetan grandmother. Although she didn't speak much Chinese, her smile was very warm. "You are young and very beautiful," she said in not-so-standard Chinese. "Thank you, Grandma. Do you have any children?" "No, it's okay. You will someday." She patted my hand. "A woman should live for herself, not just think about others." These words deeply moved me. An illiterate Tibetan grandmother spoke a truth that took me 3 years to understand. A woman must live for herself. Such a simple truth. Yet it took me so long to grasp. At parting, the grandmother gave me a kata. "It's a blessing," she said, "wishing you find true happiness." I received the kata with both hands, tears streaming down uncontrollably. These were not tears of sorrow, but of emotion, the joy of rebirth, returning to Beijing from Tibet. I felt as if I had become a different person. My skin has tanned a bit, but my eyes shine brighter, my body is weary, but my soul has never felt more fulfilled. The next day, I went to the courthouse to collect the divorce certificate. Looking at that red document, my heart was filled with mixed emotions. 3 years of marriage, just like that, it's over. But I have no regrets, on the contrary, I feel liberated. After leaving the courthouse, I went to the bank and changed my name back to my maiden surname, L. Lin. This name belongs to me again. At night, I was alone in the apartment, ordering a table full of dishes, not because I could finish them, but because I wanted to celebrate my fresh start, to celebrate my freedom. While eating, I sent a WeChat message to the magazine editor. The Tibet draft is ready. I'll send it to you tomorrow. By the way, I'd like to ask if there are any other business trip assignments. A reply came quickly. Great. There's a project in Xinjiang next month. Are you interested? Xinjiang. There's another place I'd like to visit. Of course I'm interested. Then it's settled. I'll send you the specific arrangements tomorrow. Putting down my phone, I walked out onto the balcony. The nightscape of Beijing is brilliantly lit, with a constant flow of traffic. This city is vast, filled with endless possibilities. And now, I finally have the chance to explore these possibilities. My phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello, Elle, it's me, Jace-gu's voice. I froze for a moment. Why did he change his number? What do you want? I know you got the divorce certificate. His voice was deep. I want to see you one last time. The last meeting. I hesitated. What for? There are some things I want to say to you. We've already said everything that needed to be said. Please, just this one last time. Hearing him say please still tugged at my heartstrings a little. After all, we were once husband and wife. Meeting one last time isn't too much to ask. Alright, where shall we meet? At the cafe right below your building. You're downstairs. Yeah. I've been waiting all afternoon. He waited all afternoon. I felt a bit conflicted, but I agreed anyway. I'll be right down. After changing clothes, I went downstairs to the cafe. Jace-gu was sitting in the corner, his back to the entrance. Seeing me, he stood up, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. You've lost weight, he said. Life on the plateau is tough. I sat down across from him. What did you want to see me about? He looked at me, his eyes filled with complex emotions. Elle, I want to ask you a question. What's the problem? If we could start over, would you choose to be with me? Start over? I smiled bitterly in my heart. If I could truly start over, if I didn't have the memories of rebirth, perhaps I would still be fooled by him. But now, it's impossible. No, I shook my head firmly. His face instantly turned pale. Why? Because we're simply not compatible, I said calmly. Jace-gu, the issues between us aren't just about one or two things. They're fundamental mismatches. What mismatches? Our worldviews don't align, our values don't align, and our understanding of relationships doesn't align. I listed, you want an accessory, while I want a partner. My words cut him deeply. Elle, I can change. You can't, I interrupted him. Because it's in your nature. He was silent for a long time before finally saying, what about Skyjiang? What, is Skyjiang the reason you want a divorce? I looked at him and suddenly found it ridiculous. At this point, he was still thinking about Skyjiang. Jace-gu, Skyjiang was just the trigger. I said coldly, the real problem is that you never loved me. I did love. You love the obedient, submissive Elle Lin who never causes you trouble. I cut him off. You don't love me as a person, but the role I play. The words hit home. He stared at me, unable to retort. Now, this role doesn't want to be played anymore. I stood up. Jace-gu, may we each find peace in the rest of our lives. With that, I turned and walked away. His voice came from behind. Elle, I will regret this. I stopped in my tracks but didn't turn around. Your regrets are your business, not mine. Stepping out of the cafe, I took a deep breath. This time, it's really over. 3 months later, my first travel essay collection, Scenery on the Road, was officially published. On the day of the book signing, many readers came, and the scene was livelier than I had imagined. Mr. Lin, your writing is particularly moving. It makes me want to travel as soon as I read it. Thank you. I smiled as I signed for the reader. When will your next book be released? I'm working on it now, and it should be published around the end of the year, after the book signing event. I had dinner with the editor from the publishing house. Your book is selling very well and has already gone into reprint, the editor said excitedly. Would like to sign a long-term contract with you. It's worth considering. By the way, a TV station wants to invite you as a guest on a travel show. Are you interested? A TV show. This is an opportunity one never thought of. Worth a try. Then I'll give you my contact info. When I got home, I posted the photos from the book signing event on social media. A friend left a message soon. Congratulations. When are you free to meet up? You look especially energetic now. Reading these messages warms my heart. These friends are all people I've met since I started working again. They like me not because of my status, but because of who I am. This feeling is truly wonderful. I was replying to messages when the phone rang. It was Li Shufen calling. She had rarely contacted me since the divorce. Mom, I saw your book. Her voice choked up a little. It's very well written. Thanks, Mom. How are you doing now? I'm doing well. Really. There was a silence on the other end of the line. Mom wants to see you. Sure, when? Are you free tomorrow afternoon? Yes. The next afternoon, I went to Li Shufen's house. She lived in a small apartment in the military compound, which was indeed much simpler compared to the large villa she used to live in. Mom, why did you move here? Jace was transferred, so I moved out. She poured tea for me. Living alone, a smaller place is better. Transferred. Jace Gu was transferred. Where did he go? I couldn't help but ask. The frontier, a very distant place. Li Shufen sighed. He said he wanted a change of scenery. I didn't press further. Where Jace Gu goes is his own business. Nothing to do with me, Mom. How are you feeling? I'm doing all right. I just miss you sometimes. She looked at me, her eyes full of tenderness. I've always wanted to say sorry to you. Sorry for what? Sorry for not standing by your side. Tears fell from her eyes. At that time, I was only thinking about Jace and didn't consider your feelings. Hearing this, my heart was filled with mixed emotions. Mom, you're not wrong. You're his mother. It's only natural to stand by his side, but you're also my daughter. She held my hand. Blood ties can't be severed, but feelings can be nurtured. Only now do I realize you need my support more than Jace does. My eyes welled up with tears. Mom, Mom knows you two can't get back together, and I won't try to persuade you either, she said earnestly. I just want you to be happy and live well. I will, that's good. She wiped her tears. By the way, I made some soup for you. Take it home with you. Thanks, Mom. When I left, Li Shufen saw me off all the way to the door. Come visit me more often in the future. I will. Sitting in the taxi, I looked at the thermal lunchbox in my hands, feeling warmth in my heart. Even though I'm divorced from Jace Gu, Li Shufen still treats me like her own daughter. This feeling is truly precious. A month later, I received an invitation from a TV station to participate in the recording of a travel show. The production team arranged for me to visit Tungchong in Yunnan to experience the local folk culture. I was accompanied by several other guests, all of whom were elites from various fields. Among them was a guy named Jiang Yang, a photographer who didn't talk much but was very professional. Teacher Lin, I've read your book. It's exceptionally well written, he said shyly. Thank you. The recording process went smoothly, and together we experienced the local hot springs, cuisine, and handicraft making. Jiang Yang is very considerate, always quietly helping me carry things and reminding me to stay safe. You're such a kind person, I said to him with a smile. His face turned red. It's the least I could do. After the recording, we had dinner together. Professor Lin, what other hobbies do you usually have? Jiang Yang asked. Reading, writing, traveling. I thought for a moment. And I also enjoy watching movies. I also love watching movies. His eyes lit up. Let's go see a movie together sometime. Sure. After returning to Beijing, Jiang Yang actually contacted me to watch a movie. We watched an art film, which told the story of a woman rediscovering herself. After the movie, we chatted at a cafe. This movie is quite interesting, Jiang Yang said. The female lead's experience somewhat resembles yours. How so? She also walked away from a bad relationship and started life anew. I smiled. It does bear some resemblance. Do you still miss your old life now? Miss it? I thought about it carefully. No, I shook my head firmly. My life now is so much better than before. Why? Because now, I live for myself. Jiang Yang looked at me, his eyes filled with admiration. You're truly brave. Not brave, just awake. From then on, Jiang Yang often asked me out. We went to movies, browsed bookstores, visited museums, and tried new restaurants. He was a very interesting person, knowledgeable and full of engaging topics. Being with him made me feel relaxed and happy. I want to ask you a question. One day, he suddenly said very seriously, "What's the problem? Would you like to be in a relationship with me?" A relationship? I froze for a moment. Since the divorce, no one has formally confessed their feelings to me. Jiang Yang. Why do you like me? I asked curiously. Because you have light around you. He said earnestly, a very warm light that makes people want to get closer. Light around me. That's an interesting metaphor, but I just got divorced not long ago, and I might not be ready to start a new relationship yet. I said honestly, that's okay, I can wait, he said with a smile. I'm in no hurry anyway. Looking into his sincere eyes, I felt deeply moved. Then let's just be friends for now and see how things develop in the future. Good, he nodded happily. A few more months passed. And my second book, Freedom of the Soul, was also published. This book was about my reflections after the divorce, about women's independence, and about the search for self. The response was even better than for the first book. Many readers have written to me, saying my book gave them courage. Teacher Lin, after reading your book, I've also decided to leave the man who doesn't love me. Your experience made me understand that women must have their own careers. Thank you for helping me realize that leaving someone isn't scary. What's truly frightening is losing oneself. Reading these letters brings me great comfort. If my experiences can help other women, then my suffering will have meaning. At the end of the year, I received an unexpected phone call. Ms. Lin. I'm a doctor from XX hospital. Your ex-husband Jace Gu was injured on duty and is now in critical condition. We couldn't reach his family. Could you come to the hospital? Is Jace Gu injured? My heart tightened, but I quickly calmed down. Doctor, we're already divorced. I'm not his family, but we only found your number listed as his emergency contact. Am I still the emergency contact? I paused for a moment. What about his mother? Can't reach her. I hesitated. How is he doing? It's dangerous and requires surgery, but we need a family member to sign. A family member needs to sign. At this point, I'm no longer his family member. Doctor, I really am not his family member. Please try to contact someone else. Ms. Lin, please. He's in real danger right now. Hearing the pleading tone in the doctor's voice, my heart softened. I understand. I'll go right away. After hanging up the phone, I sat on the sofa in a daze. Jace Gu actually still listed me as his emergency contact. What does this mean? Was it forgotten to be changed, or was it intentionally left unchanged? Never mind the reason. Human lives are at stake. I can't stand by and watch someone die. I immediately took a taxi to the hospital. Upon arriving at the hospital, the doctor took me to the ICU. Through the glass window, I saw Jace Gu lying on the hospital bed. His face was pale, with various tubes attached to his body, looking very weak. Doctor, what exactly happened to him? Encountered an explosion during the mission, sustained multiple injuries, and lost a significant amount of blood. The doctor said gravely, immediate surgery is required, but the risks are substantial. What are the chances of success? 30%, 30%. That low. My heart sank. What if we don't do the surgery? Definitely won't make it through the night. I fell silent. Anyway, Jace Gu was once my husband. I can't just watch him die. I'll sign it. After signing, the doctor immediately arranged for the surgery. I sat outside the operating room waiting, feeling quite conflicted. Saying I wasn't worried would be a lie, but I couldn't say I cared deeply either. It was like dealing with an old friend. I hoped for their safety, but that was all. The surgery lasted 6 hours. During that time, Jiang Yang came to keep me company and even bought me some food. How did you know I was here? I asked. You posted it on your moments, he said. I was worried about you being alone. So I came. Looking at his concerned expression, I felt deeply moved. Thank you. You're welcome. That's what friends are for. At 3 in the morning, the surgery finally ended. The doctor came out with a weary smile on his face. The operation was successful. The patient is out of danger. Hearing this, I let out a long sigh of relief. Thank you, doctor, but he still needs to be observed for a while, and visits are not allowed for now. I nodded. I understand. By the time I left the hospital, dawn was almost breaking. Jiang Yang walked me home, staying quiet the whole way. Do you still love him? He suddenly asked as we neared my place. I thought for a moment. No, I don't. Then why did you come to the hospital? Because I'm a person with a conscience. I smiled. Jiang Yang, saving him doesn't mean I still love him. I just don't want to see a life disappear. He let out a sigh of relief. I understand. You won't misunderstand anything because of this, will you? No. He shook his head. On the contrary, I admire you even more. Why? Because you are kind, but not foolish. This evaluation satisfies me greatly. Kind, but not foolish. This is who I am now. A month later, I received a text message from Jace Gu. Thank you for saving me. I didn't reply. A few days later, another one arrived. I know you don't want to see me, but I still want to say thank you. I still didn't reply. A week later, he sent another text. I saw beautiful snow-capped mountains at the border and remembered you once said you wanted to visit Tibet. I'm glad your dream came true. Reading this message, I was somewhat surprised. Does he still remember my dream of going to Tibet? I thought for a moment and replied with a text message. Thank you. Take care of yourself. Then I deleted his number. This is our final connection. From now on, there will be no more ties. Spring has arrived, and I've decided to visit Tibet once more. This time, it's not for work, but for closure. Jiang Yang said he would accompany me, and I agreed. Is there any special significance to this trip to Tibet? He asked me on the plane. No special significance, I replied, gazing at the clouds outside the window. I just wanted to see it again, to experience that purity once more. So, does this count as us traveling together? Let's count it. I smiled. Our first trip together. Hope it's not the last. It won't be. I held his hand. There are many more places we can go together. He smiled, his eyes full of tenderness. The plane pierced through the clouds, flying toward the snowy plateau. Watching the snow-capped mountains drawing nearer outside the window, my heart was at peace. This time, I came not to escape from anything, but to embrace something, to embrace freedom, to embrace love, to embrace life, embrace the new you.